Welcome back, brave souls. Prepare to be plunged into the darkest corners of the human psyche as we bring you the most spine-tingling, scary stories ever told. As you listen to our narrations, you'll feel the chill of the unknown and the fear of the unseen lurking just beyond the shadows. But beware, for once you enter this realm of terror, there's no turning back. Each tale will beckon you further into the depths of darkness. So, if you're brave enough to confront your deepest fears, then hit that subscribe button and join our ever-growing community of dark and mysterious enthusiasts. Now, on to the show. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Abduction, torn from reality. On a desolate stretch of highway, surrounded by the dark expanse of a moonless night, Sarah's car sputtered to a stop. Her heart raced as panic set in. She was stranded in the middle of nowhere, miles away from the nearest town. The air was heavy with an eerie stillness, and a chill crawled up her spine as she stepped out of the vehicle to assess the situation. Sarah's phone displayed no signal, leaving her isolated in a realm of darkness and uncertainty. A distant light caught her attention, a single, flickering orb that seemed to hover just above the tree line. Bewildered and desperate for help, she stumbled toward it, her steps unsteady on the uneven ground. As she drew closer, the light intensified, casting an otherworldly glow that revealed a circular clearing. In its center stood a towering metallic structure, its surface etched with alien symbols that seemed to pulse with a sinister energy. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as a cacophony of strange sounds filled the air, a discordant symphony of clicks, hums, and eerie whispers. Her heart raced as a sensation of weightlessness overcame her, and she felt herself being lifted off the ground. Panic surged through her veins as her body defied gravity, levitating toward the sinister structure. She struggled against the unseen force, her limbs flailing as terror consumed her. With a sudden jolt, Sarah found herself within the metallic confines of the alien vessel. The walls pulsed with an unsettling rhythm, and the air was thick with a metallic scent that made her stomach churn. She stumbled down a corridor, her footsteps echoing in the eerie silence. The corridor led to a dimly lit chamber where grotesque figures stood hunched over intricate control panels. Their elongated limbs and misshapen forms sent a wave of revulsion through Sarah. Their eyes glowed with a terrifying intelligence, fixating on her with a hunger that sent shivers down her spine. Sarah's voice trembled as she demanded answers, her pleas met with an unsettling chorus of guttural laughter. In a nightmarish sequence, the beings surrounded her, their cold fingers probing her flesh. She fought against their invasive touch, her screams echoing through the chamber. Time blurred as Sarah's perception shifted, her mind subjected to a torrent of horrifying visions. She witnessed the destruction of worlds, the torment of civilizations, and the insidious machinations of an ancient malevolence that defied comprehension. The alien's twisted agenda became clear, to harness her fear, to feed on her terror. As the ordeal continued, Sarah's sanity teetered on the brink of collapse. She clung to shreds of her humanity, desperately seeking an escape from the nightmare that had ensnared her. With a surge of strength, born of sheer desperation, she broke free from the alien's grip and fled through the twisting corridors. Her flight led her to a room bathed in an eerie, pulsating light. Before her stood a towering monolith, its surface inscribed with grotesque imagery that seared itself into her mind. Sarah's vision blurred as her thoughts were invaded by a malevolent force, an entity that sought to consume her very essence. With a final surge of willpower, Sarah screamed, channeling every ounce of her fear and defiance. The monolith shattered with a deafening roar, the vessel's very reality unraveling as its sinister inhabitants writhed in agony. Reality itself seemed to fold in on itself, and with a blinding flash of light, Sarah found herself back on the desolate highway, her car running smoothly once more. Trembling and disoriented, Sarah sped away from the nightmare that had ensnared her. She reached civilization, her story met with skepticism and disbelief. But the scars on her psyche remained, a haunting reminder of the unspeakable horror she had endured. Sarah became a recluse, forever haunted by the eldritch terror of her abduction. She would often wake in the dead of night, drenched in cold sweat, the echoes of alien laughter and the pulsating glow of the metallic monolith etched into her nightmares. In the end, she became a cautionary tale, a chilling testament to the unknown horrors that lurk beyond the boundaries of human comprehension. Abyssal descent. The wind howled mercilessly, whipping the surface of the ocean into a frenzy of frothy waves. The sky, once a serene blue canvas, had transformed into a swirling mass of dark clouds that threatened to consume everything in their path. The boat, a small fishing vessel named Sea Lark, bobbed and creaked as it struggled against the fury of the storm. Captain Robert Sawyer tightened his grip on the wheel, his knuckles white with strain. The rain pounded down relentlessly, stinging his skin like 1,000 needles. His crew, a group of weathered fishermen, clung to the deck, their eyes wide with fear. It was a nightmare they couldn't escape. "Steady, men," Captain Sawyer shouted over the deafening roar of the tempest. "We've weathered storms before. Just hold on." But this was no ordinary storm. As the waves grew taller and more ferocious, a colossal wall of water suddenly rose before them, a towering monster that seemed to defy the laws of nature. The Sea Lark was lifted high into the air, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. Then, with a sickening crash, the boat capsized, its hull groaning in protest as it succumbed to the power of the sea. Water rushed in, drowning the interior of the boat in darkness. The crew fought to escape their watery prison, gasping for air as they were tossed about like rag dolls. Desperation and panic consumed them, and the once unbreakable bonds of camaraderie dissolved into a frenzy of self-preservation. In the chaos, Captain Sawyer found himself separated from the rest of the crew. He struggled to the surface, his lungs burning, and gulped down precious air. The storm raged on, and he could see nothing but towering waves that seemed to stretch into eternity. Days turned into nights, and nights into days. The crew members clung to whatever debris they could find, their bodies growing weak and emaciated. Hunger gnawed at their insides, and the constant exposure to the elements took its toll on their sanity. The once vibrant spirits of these men had been crushed by the weight of the ocean's merciless embrace. Captain Sawyer's mind began to play tricks on him. He would hear voices on the wind, whispers that seemed to call his name from the depths. He would catch glimpses of shadowy figures just beneath the surface, their pale faces contorted in agony. And then, one by one, his crewmates began to disappear. One night, as Captain Sawyer lay on a piece of driftwood, staring up at the stars that felt a universe away, he saw something that made his blood run cold. A shape, massive and indistinct, moved beneath the surface of the water. It was unlike anything he had ever seen before, a creature of nightmares that seemed to embody the very essence of the ocean's wrath. The creature's eyes, gleaming like two orbs of malevolent fire, fixed on Captain Sawyer. It rose from the depths, its gargantuan form casting a shadow over the moonlit waves. Captain Sawyer's heart pounded in his chest, and he knew that this was the end. He closed his eyes, waiting for the inevitable embrace of the abyss. But then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the creature vanished beneath the waves. The storm began to subside, and the sea grew calm once more. And in the distance, a faint light glimmered on the horizon, a rescue ship sent by fate or some other force to pluck Captain Sawyer from the brink of oblivion. As Captain Sawyer was lifted aboard the rescue ship, He turned his gaze back to the empty expanse of water that had been their tomb. The Sea Lark and its crew were lost to the sea, claimed by its unfathomable depths. And as the rescue ship sailed away, Captain Sawyer couldn't help but wonder if the horrors he had witnessed were real or the delusions of a mind pushed to its limits by the terror of the unknown. The Yurei's Curse. In a remote village, nestled deep within the Japanese mountains, a chilling tale passed down through generations spoke of a vengeful spirit that haunted the dense forests. The villagers referred to her as Yurai, the ghost of the Whispering Woods. It was said that Yurai was a once beautiful woman who had suffered a tragic fate and now sought to bring misery to anyone who dared to enter her domain. The story began with a young and curious traveler named Hiroshi. He had heard whispers of the Yurei's curse, but dismissed them as mere superstitions. Determined to prove his bravery, Hiroshi set out on a journey to the heart of the Whispering Woods. As he ventured deeper into the forest, the air grew thick with an eerie silence. Shadows danced among the trees, and the sunlight struggled to penetrate the dense canopy above. Hiroshi's heart pounded in his chest, but he pressed on, his footsteps muffled by fallen leaves. Nightfall crept upon him, and Hiroshi realized he had lost his way. Panic gripped his heart as he stumbled upon a dilapidated shrine hidden among the trees. Inside, an ancient scroll lay in the dust, its contents written in cryptic symbols. Ignoring the warnings etched on the shrine's entrance, Hiroshi unfurled the scroll, unknowingly releasing a torrent of malevolent energy. The moment the scroll was opened, a chilling wind swept through the shrine, extinguishing the flickering candlelight. A mournful wail echoed through the woods as a pale figure materialized before Hiroshi's eyes. Yurai stood before him, her long, disheveled hair flowing like black mist, and her eyes burning with a vengeful fire. Hiroshi's heart raced as the Yurai's cold fingers brushed against his skin. "Who dares awaken me from my slumber?" she hissed, her voice a whisper that carried the weight of centuries. I meant no harm," Hiroshi stammered, trembling before the vengeful spirit. Yura's laughter echoed through the shrine, sending shivers down Hiroshi's spine. "No harm? Ignorant fool, you have released the curse that bound me to this wretched existence. Now, you shall suffer the consequences." With a wave of her ethereal hand, Yurai unleashed a curse that seeped into Hiroshi's very soul. From that moment on, his life became a waking nightmare. Every night, he would hear the haunting whispers of the forest, and shadows would dance menacingly around him. Faces of tormented souls emerged from the darkness, their hollow eyes fixated on Hiroshi as he struggled to escape their grasp. Desperate and broken, Hiroshi returned to the village, bearing the curse he had unwittingly unleashed. The villagers recoiled at his presence, fearing the darkness that now clung to him. No priest or shrine maiden could break the curse, and Hiroshi's sanity began to unravel. In his final moments of desperation, Hiroshi ventured back into the Whispering Woods, seeking an audience with the Yurai. He found the shrine once more, its walls covered in moss and decay. Yuri awaited him, her presence suffocating. "You return, cursed one," Yurai hissed, her voice a symphony of anguish. "Your suffering amuses me." Tears streamed down Hiroshi's face as he pleaded for release from the curse. Yurai's gaze softened, and for a fleeting moment, a hint of remorse flickered in her eyes. "Very well," she whispered, her voice a whisper in the wind. "To break the curse, you must offer a selfless act of compassion to the one you have wronged." With those words, Yurai dissipated into the shadows, leaving Hiroshi alone in the crumbling shrine. Determined to end his torment, Hiroshi returned to the village and devoted himself to helping others, seeking redemption for his recklessness. Over time, the curse began to weaken, and the tormented souls that had haunted Hiroshi's every step gradually faded away. And as the village watched his transformation, they learned a lesson that would forever echo through generations. The power of compassion could mend even the most sinister of bonds and free a soul from the clutches of a vengeful spirit. But to this day, the villagers still whisper of the Yurai's curse and the redemption of Hiroshi, a tale of horror and humanity that will forever be woven into the fabric of their lives. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more content just like this. Until next time, stay curious